Why does desperately wanting something actually block it?
When you are very attached to an outcome and you desperately want something, and it's to the point where it is kind of raising your stress levels and you are dependent on it or attached to the outcome, it boosts stress and it boosts cortisol. And that actually narrows your perception and which gives you a sort of tunnel vision and actually blocks you from being able to perceive or be aware of alternate pathways and alternate routes, which is one reason why it can block you from getting it. Because a lot of times, we'll have a goal and we have something that we want to accomplish. And I know for me personally, I had a goal and I had to be very open to alternate pathways in my life. I had to be very open to like, okay, and we'll go down the road and maybe this road isn't it and we'll take a different road. But being able to be open to alternate pathways, that actually you're less able to do that and you're less open-minded and you have more of tunnel vision whenever you are kind of desperately attached to something. And also whenever we are chronically stressed, that puts us in fight or flight. And when the nervous system's dysregulated, it becomes way harder to rewire your brain. And I like to use the analogy of a kid in a classroom. Like if you're a kid in a classroom and you are being bullied by every single student, it's going to be really hard to pay attention to the teacher and actually learn what's being said. But if you feel safe in that classroom, the kid can actually feel safe to learn and pay attention to the teacher and absorb what's being said. And it works the same way in our lives. Like if we're feeling stressed and anxious all the time, it's really going to be difficult to be focused on whatever goal that we have. And so that's another kind of piece of it. And then there's another piece of it, which is sort of this incubation effect in the brain. And I'm sure you've noticed that if you're sitting there and you're thinking about a problem or a challenge or you're wanting an answer to something and you can't necessarily think of the way of the answer. But then as soon as you walk away from it and you go for a walk or you're in the shower or whatever it is, all of a sudden the answer comes and whatever you wanted to say comes. That's the incubation effect. And our subconscious mind or like the other kind of areas in the brain can process a lot more information and make a lot more connections than our conscious mind can when we're sort of focusing on something. And so whenever we're desperately wanting something or attached to it and we're thinking about it all the time and we're kind of stopping that from happening, we're stopping the incubation effect to do its magic of sort of going to work behind the scenes and coming up with the answers. And so that's another reason why letting go can be so helpful. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to work towards your goals. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be focused on your goals, but it means that, you work toward it and you worry about the inputs and you worry about what you can do, but you sort of let go of the how and the when, and it also allows you to enjoy the journey, which is really important. And I think that's, if not one of the most important things when it comes to all of it, is enjoying the journey. And I always say, life is about the journey. If it were about the destination, it would be called death. It's about the journey, and so enjoying the journey is super important. I knowing myself, and I think that that's a very important piece of this. And knowing myself is that one of my top values is joy. And being able to enjoy my life and enjoy the journey of my life. And so for me, I think remembering to enjoy the journey, but also I've found that I do so much better in my work and creative process when I am in joy. And so I think that joy isn't necessarily like a break or like an additional reward, but it also is sort of a necessity if we want our brain to be in its most optimized state, because tons of studies show that play and being in your joy, it actually boosts creativity and also boosts longevity and our immune system function and all of the things. So it's really good for our physical health as well as our mental health.